Okay, what's going on, everybody? We are here, we're live. I want to thank you all for joining me this afternoon. Please make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already. That's the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does, that helps make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get their notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button, as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button, so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. It is extremely important that you do that. And the link to my Telegram is in the description box below. It's pinned in the live chat right now, and it will be pinned in the comment section as well once the stream ends. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get this show started. Okay, let's get everything started. Big news, big news, big news, and exciting news as it pertains to mass deportation efforts. Okay, recently, I want to say it was about 2 days ago, Pam Bondi was officially sworn in as U.S. Attorney General, and she got straight to work immediately. She understood the assignment and she is following through with it. As you can see here, Attorney General Pam Bondi orders DOJ to pause all funding for sanctuary cities. She got sworn in and immediately cut the spigot off. No money for sanctuary cities, at least for the moment. You're not getting a dime right now. I want to go through this article, another article afterwards, and I want to go through a series of news clips as well, just so we can really get a full understanding of everything that's happening right now. So let's jump into this article first very quickly, and it reads as such. Newly inaugurated Attorney General Pam Bondi ordered the defunding of jurisdictions that refuse to cooperate with federal immigration authorities Wednesday. Bondi, 59, issued the edict shortly after being sworn in by Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas at an Oval Office ceremony with President Trump in attendance. And I quote, "The Department of Justice will ensure that, consistent with law, sanctuary jurisdictions do not receive access to federal funds from the department," Bondi's first day memo says. Like I said, she understood the assignment immediately on the first day. The article continues to read, "Consistent with applicable statutes, regulations, court orders, and terms, the Department of Justice shall pause the distribution of all funds until a review has been completed, terminate any agreements that are in violation of law or are the source of waste, fraud, or abuse, and initiate clawback and recoupment procedures where appropriate." And as we close this article out, we'll almost close it out, the memo orders an immediate 60-day pause on distribution of funds, with a report on future steps due on Bondi's desk within 45 days. The idea of cutting sanctuary jurisdictions is popular among Republicans, with House Speaker Mike Johnson previously proposing putting it into legislation. And I agree with what we're getting ready to hear right now from Mike Johnson. He stated this: the idea, or not Mike Johnston, Mike Johnson. Mike Johnston is the mayor of Denver, right? The idea that you would maintain a sanctuary city status and then cry to the federal government for assistance in what you've done, to me, is unconscionable, Johnson told the Post in 2023. And that is so true. Your trash policies have destroyed your cities, and then you come running to us for money to help fix it. But then you don't fix anything. You just continue on with the trash policies that destroy your cities. Why would I keep giving you money? They shouldn't. And I'm glad that this happened. And then immediately after that, we are here. Trump administration sues Illinois and Chicago over immigration policies. Oh, this is great. This is great news. The Trump administration sued the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago on Thursday, alleging that their sanctuary city policies are blocking federal authorities from enforcing immigration laws. The federal lawsuit is the first by President Donald Trump's Justice Department against states or municipalities that have sanctuary city policies in effect. The 22-page lawsuit, filed one day after a sanctuary jurisdiction directive was issued by U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi on her first day on the job, alleged that the sanctuary policies put in place by Illinois, Chicago, and Cook County obstruct the federal government from enforcing immigration laws. And I agree with that. And I would assume you all agree with that as well. Obviously, as we round this article out here, and then we're going to get into a couple of news clips, the challenge provision of Illinois, Chicago, and Cook County law reflect their intentional effort to obstruct the federal government's enforcement of federal immigration law and to impede consultation and communication between federal, state, and local law enforcement officials that is necessary for federal officials to carry out federal immigration law and keep Americans safe, the lawsuit reads. And once again, obviously, I'm in agreement with all of this. One of the complaints that you hear from me all the time, and one of my biggest gripes that you guys hear from me all the time when I do these streams on this topic, is that I find it beyond unbelievable that if the feds were looking for me, a US citizen, or you, local law enforcement will work with the feds to find you. But when it comes to illegal immigrants, all of a sudden it's hands off. I mean, I don't think that's right. I'm pretty sure that you all feel the same way. That's discrimination as far as I'm concerned. Why is it that illegal immigrants have more rights than US citizens? Where the feds will work with local law enforcement to come after me, but they're not allowed to do that to go after them if they commit a crime. That is completely ridiculous and absurd. So now what I want to do next is that I want to shift gears, right? I want to shift gears to Alderman Ray Lopez. He did an interview with News Nation. It was roughly about 5 minutes long. We're not going to watch the whole thing. I just want to play maybe about a minute and a half of it, where he stated something very, very interesting concerning the Biden administration. And I want to get into that right now and unpack that just a little bit more. So let's get into this now.
Them away safely. And all three levels of government are refusing to do exactly that.
What are you hearing from local law enforcement?
You know, our police officers who are on the front line every day are extremely frustrated. We just had an individual that was reportedly arrested, a non-citizen, arrested and released 13 different times in the last year and a half, as posted by CWB Chicago. That is incredible. That means that individual has had 12 additional opportunities to commit dangerous acts in our neighborhoods simply because we don't want to cooperate with the federal government. And
under the Lake and Riley Act, he would have been picked up immediately. It wouldn't have he wouldn't have had any chance to be arrested 13 times. After the first time, it's time for you to get out of here. You got to go. Bye. Thank you. You came here to commit crime. Bye. But you know, these sanctuary city laws are obstructing the federal government from being able to do their job. That's the simple reality of all this. But now pay attention to what he's getting ready to say next after that statement.
that means that individual has had 12 additional opportunities to commit dangerous acts in our neighborhoods simply because we don't want to cooperate with the federal government. And what I think is important for your viewers to remember is that the target list that Tom Homan is going off of was compiled under the Biden administration. They knew we had 2,000, at least 2,000 dangerous individuals in our city that were threats to our neighborhoods and our country that they allowed to come here, that they are only now going after. But yet no one is questioning why Biden allowed that to happen. They're only upset now that judgment has come.
I think a lot of people in America are wondering why there is compassion for those who are the most violent among us. Chicago Alderman Raymond Lopez, hopefully there's a lot of compassion for these neighborhoods. They're looking for it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
The list that Tom Homan is using is a list that was compiled by the Biden administration. They knew these maniacs were running through Chicago, had a list of them, 2,000 of them, know their names, know where they live, know everything about them, and did nothing. And that's just in the city of Chicago alone. They knew and did nothing. Meanwhile, these guys are running around here committing crime after crime after crime after crime after crime and continuously being let go just for ICE to come around and say, hey, next time, or now that we see you got them, can you hold them for me so we can pick them up and get them out of here? And local law enforcement goes, can't do that. Sorry. Going to let them back out in the streets. And for the citizens of Chicago, good luck. Hopefully you don't run into this guy and he doesn't do anything crazy to you. This is complete insanity. This is insanity. Now what I want to do next is I want to pivot to another News Nation news clip, right? But in this one, they're going to be speaking with an attorney who's going to pretty much give, for the most part, you could say both sides of the argument. And he's going to let us know who has, the better argument, you can say, right? For lack of better words. So let's get into this right now. And before we do that, please make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already. That's extremely important. If you're new to the channel watching me right now, please hit the subscribe button. All right. And make sure you follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. I cannot beg of you to do that enough. Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below, and it will be pinned in the comment section as well once this stream is over. Let's get into what the attorney has to say. Let's get into this right now.
Attorney and former U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Virginia, John Fishwick, is here. Good to see you again, sir. One of the main arguments, thank you. One of the main arguments appears to be the most obvious one, that federal law would supersede state and local law. True?
Correct. So what Pam Bondi says in this lawsuit is, President Trump has made, arresting citizens who are not legal citizens a priority. He's passed a number of executive orders. The Lincoln-Riley Act was just passed by Congress and signed by the president. And that says if you're an illegal citizen and you're charged with serious crimes, you need to be detained in this country and deported. And so what Pam Bondi and her team says in this lawsuit is that's the federal law. And so these state and local laws in Illinois are conflicting with that. That is permitting your law enforcement not to cooperate with us. And as the sheriff pointed out, the serious situation is when a state and local officer knows where someone is, but they're not allowed to pass that on to ICE or to the federal agencies. And so I think what Pam Bondi is saying, we need to clear this up. We need to have these state and local laws that are interfering with our efforts be found to be unconstitutional.
The governor, Governor Pritzker, saying a state law here in Illinois relating to sanctuary are compliant with federal law. Does he have a point?
So I can imagine what his lawyers will say is, look, we will cooperate when it's a federal criminal charge, when there's a criminal warrant. Many of these deportation cases are civil deportations where there's an illegal citizen who's been charged with a crime and they civilly are deported from this country. And so I think Pritzker will say, look, we're cooperating with federal criminal cases, but not the civil cases. And that under the 10th Amendment, we can do that. I think that may be a little bit of an uphill argument for him, but I think he's going to say that we're only going to do the federal criminal cases, not the civil cases. I think the federal case has a real point here that it is interfering with those efforts. And so it will be interesting to see what the federal judge does in this case.
And I mean, I think he's 100% right on it. I think for Pritzker, it is going to be an uphill battle because it's just, the word or the term of this administration, right, is common sense. That's all we've been hearing. That's all everybody keeps saying is common sense, common sense, common sense. If you are in possession of an illegal immigrant who by default is a fugitive because you broke into the country illegally and you're just here roaming around, right? You broke federal law already. You are technically a fugitive. And if we know that Chicago PD is holding on to them because they've just been arrested. And we get that notification, the feds, ICE, that you holding on to him. I issue a detainer. I say, hold on to him. I'm coming right now. We're going to pick this guy up. And you say no and you just let him go? That's crazy. How is that not obstruction? How? If they're in jail already and you're not letting us come in, how is that obstruction? If the feds come knocking on my door looking for you and you're in my house, locked in the bathroom, and I tell the feds, no, you can't come in, that would be obstruction of justice. How is it not obstruction of justice if they're literally in the jails and you're not letting the feds in there to pick them up, but you're literally housing them in that moment? This is insanity. This is insanity. And I think that, Pam Bondi has a very strong case. I think she has a very strong case. And I definitely hope she does, right? So now I want to get into what JB Pritzker had to say. I have a nickname for JB Pritzker that I haven't articulated publicly. So I almost said that on accident. I don't want to say it because I don't want to, engage in name calling and take away the seriousness of this, but maybe I'll let you guys know his nickname in the Telegram. I will. I'll let you guys know his nickname in the Telegram. So, follow me on Telegram and I'll let you guys know his nickname in the Telegram. But let's get into his reaction to all this, okay? I want to get into the reaction of what JB Pritzker had to say when he was asked about these lawsuits. So let's get into it right now.
I think it's a massive effort to distract from what they are doing across the country to take away things that working class, middle class people, families, the most vulnerable really need. Maybe they, as they come and try to attack the state of Illinois, and that's what they're doing, the lawsuits are against laws on the books in Illinois. I mean, unlike Donald Trump, we follow the law in Illinois. Now, maybe they put up with this kind of garbage in Florida, which is the home state of the head of the DOJ. But in Illinois, we have grit, we are tough, we are strong, and Donald Trump has no idea what he's up against when he attacks Illinois. So we're here, we're gonna stay here, we're gonna keep fighting for lowering costs on people, on building up jobs, on holding back the tariffs, whatever we can do to make this a great state. We're going to continue to do, despite what they may be doing to attack, again, working families across our state.
He keeps saying that Trump's administration is attacking Illinois. Meanwhile, you have 2,000 known illegal immigrant criminals, meaning they have committed crime. You have 2,000 of them who are attacking Illinoisans, and you don't want to assist in getting rid of them. I mean, and that's an understatement. It's not you don't want to assist. You are intentionally getting in the way. You are intentionally getting in the way. These people need to be held accountable. These people need to be held accountable. Now, what I want to get into as we're rounding things out is get into what Brandon Johnson has to say, right? Because Brandon Johnson did have some words as well. And let's check out what the Emperor of the People's Republic of Chicago has to say.
Department of Justice has hit the city of Chicago and state of Illinois with a lawsuit alleging the sanctuary status here is obstructing federal immigration enforcement.
All new tonight, our Charlie DeMar caught up with the mayor and is live now with his reaction. Charlie? And Joe and Erica, this lawsuit comes just a day after Mayor Brandon Johnson voluntarily agreed to testify before Congress next month.
Let's stop right there. Remember when he was ordered to come testify in front of Congress. I shouldn't say he was ordered. Technically, they invited him to come testify in front of Congress, right? Concerning sanctuary city laws. And you remember during the press conference when Brandon Johnson was asked whether or not he was going to attend that hearing, that congressional hearing, he got scared and had his lawyer speak for him. Remember? His lawyer started taking on the questions, and Brandon Johnson was in the back, very nervously drinking his bottle of water, taking huge gulps of water while his lawyer was answering those questions for him. Now they're confirming that he will be attending the congressional hearings. That lets me know that his lawyer told him, you might want to show up. It will be best for you, Brandon, if you show up to actually speak for yourself. Because if not, you might find yourself in some more trouble, possibly, you know? So that's going to be very interesting to see. I was debating on whether or not I was going to stream that hearing because I never stream hearings. I just don't do that. And I was strongly considering it only because I was pretty sure that Eric Adams is going to show up. I'm willing to bet my savings that Eric Adams is going to show up. But now that I know Brandon Johnson is going to show up, we got to hear this. We got to hear this. And I want to see if he's going to do all that trolling that he does to the local Chicago media when they ask him questions about, sanctuary city policies, when they ask him questions about his ridiculously low approval rating of 14%, and then he responds with something completely ridiculous by saying, well, maybe my approval rating is low because I'm a middle child. And did you know that the Bears are undefeated in 2025? For those of you who don't know, these are his literal responses to why his approval rating is so low. I want to see if he keeps that same energy and that same trolling nonsense when he's testifying in front of Congress. So I can't wait to see that. I'll definitely be streaming it here. Make sure you guys are subscribed and following me on Telegram so you know when that notification comes out so we can all watch it together. But let's carry on, right? I'm rewinding back just a little bit and let it roll.
Joe and Erica, this lawsuit comes just a day after Mayor Brandon Johnson voluntarily agreed to testify before Congress next month. Johnson also adding that this is yet another example of the president creating division and chaos.
I'm going to continue to stand up and fight.
Tonight, Mayor Brandon Johnson responding after the Department of Justice accused the city and state's sanctuary status of obstructing the federal government's ability to enforce immigration laws.
We are not going to cower to political motives to undermine our value system. The American people deserve serious leadership in government right now.
Chicago deserves serious leadership in their local government right now, and that is definitely not you.
On our value system. The American people deserve serious leadership in government right now. They don't deserve the type of chaos and division that he is attempting to propagate.
On her first day on the job, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi filed the lawsuit alleging the sanctuary laws across the state and city has resulted in countless criminals being released into Chicago who should have been held for immigration removal from the United States.
The arguments that they're making are not, they being the federal government, they're not, ridiculous or preposterous. They're creative.
Northwestern law professor Nadav Shoked says unlike Trump's failed lawsuit that took aim at sanctuary cities during his first administration, this lawsuit recognizes the federal government cannot force state or local municipalities to enforce federal laws.
So again, they acknowledge the basis of the law, which is that we can't force you to do anything. But then they try and walk around that by saying, well, but by not helping us, you're stopping us. And that's a leap.
My initial reaction to the lawsuit is that it's unfortunate, but I was able to see this coming.
Cook County Commissioner Sean Morrison says the lawsuit highlights a lack of cooperation between local and federal government when it comes to immigration, a disconnect he says poses a public safety threat.
And at the end of the day, the notion of it, the notion of the ability of our federal government to remove criminal aliens is not an extreme notion. It's not a unnecessary notion. In fact,
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker responding, saying that he will continue to prioritize state police resources for fighting crime. We are live tonight from City Hall. Charlie DeMar, CBS News, Chicago. Joe.
Thank you, Charlie.
There's no crime being fought over there. If you were fighting crime, then you would fight crime in its totality, right? Meaning not just going after American citizens, but going after illegal immigrants as well that are out there committing crime, like the one guy that Ray Lopez told us about who had been arrested 13 times already. 13 times. This guy commits a crime, gets arrested, let him go. Commits a crime, gets arrested, let him go. But once again, under the Lincoln Riley Act, he would have been out of here after the first time. But because these folks are actively obstructing justice and not cooperating with the federal government, this guy is able to commit crimes multiple times over until he does something completely heinous. And then, okay, now, well, I guess we'll work with ICE because somebody got, right? This is completely outrageous, completely outrageous. And I do think that Pam Bondi has a strong case on her hand. I'm hoping, and I do believe that the energy has shifted significantly concerning how to handle illegal immigration, mass deportation, and everything of that nature. And because the energy has shifted so much in the direction of being pro, right, mass deportation, being pro shutting down the border, being pro eliminating foreign aid, right, and being very strict on how you start handing out that foreign aid out, because the tides have shifted so much, I do believe that Pam Bondi will come out on top. I do believe that she'll come out on top, because that's at that point, you're that's just being on the right side of history at this point. You get what I'm saying? Because we all want this. Everybody wants this. Literally, America wants this. It's what America voted for, right? So we'll see how it all pans out. But I am very confident, actually, that Pam Bondi is going to be able to pull this off. And with all that being said, that's going to do it for today's stream. So please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms, and also don't forget to follow me on Telegram. That is extremely important. That's why I'm always begging you guys to do that. Please, Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below, and will be pinned in the comment section as well once the stream is over. And then I'll give you guys my nickname for JB Prisker in the Telegram. Okay. So before we get out of here, man, I do want to take a moment to read my super chats that came through, because I don't exist without you guys' support. Thank you all very much. Shout out to those of you who are watching me on X, and shout out to those of you who are watching me on Rumble. Follow me on Rumble as well at TDB the Group. My man Saul, who always comes through, keeps my family fed. He said Donald Trump is appearing to be the type of leader where our partners respect us and our enemies fear us. That is 100% true. That is 100% true. And you know something very interesting? I didn't look too deep into this just for time's sake, because I wanted to get this stream off, so I can get it up and get it done, but I think it was yesterday, speaking of, respect and fear and things of that nature. I believe it was yesterday that Gavin Newsom had a 90-minute meeting with Donald Trump very quietly, right? Normally, a meeting of that nature with a governor as big as a Gavin Newsom, you'd know about it ahead of time. And even if the press wasn't aware of it ahead of time, at the moment of the meeting, everybody would know about it. It would be reported on. There would have been a press conference afterwards. A lot of times you see these press conferences, they occur like on the White House lawn. You see Gavin Newsom walking out of the White House and Mr. Newsom, Governor Newsom, and then they're asking a bunch of questions. None of that happened. And if I remember correctly from what I was watching last night, I forgot what the official term is, right? But the transcripts of that conversation never came out. It didn't come out. So it kind of lets me know that Trump is like, all right, Gavin, I'll work with you if you work with me. I see you a little nervous about these funds being shut down and not getting these federal funds. We'll keep the conversation between you and me. We'll keep things on, the hush hush. But I'm going to need you to play ball. So we're going to see where that goes. I'm very interested to see how things go and how the relationship turns out between Newsom and Trump, because I just found it very interesting that he quietly came to the White House for an hour-and-a-half meeting with Trump, and for none of us to know what that meeting was about, and for Gavin Newsom to essentially escape out the White House's back door and not answer any questions by the press. So we'll see how that turns out. We'll definitely see how that turns out. Shout out to my man Willis Addison, who said, "Keep up the great work, media work. Oh, keep up the great media work." Got you. The emojis got in the way. Keep up the great media work, TDFB. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you very much, Willis Addison. I appreciate you for the support. And my man Saul spun the block on me one more time. He said, "Remember, criminals put hands on cops and walked." Facts. And that's something that I report on multiple times in between Chicago and New York, where you have the illegal immigrant criminals putting hands on cops. And hey, back out on the street, within a matter of hours. Back out on the street within a matter of hours. But hopefully all this is coming to an end. So that does it for today's stream. Thank you guys for joining me today. I appreciate you all. And I will see you guys very, very soon. Have a great afternoon and a safe one. Peace.